right, so let's start this again. My name is Danny DeRuiter. I'm a chiropractor, and online I'm referred to as the intuitive chiropractor. Just follow my page at intuitivechiropractor.com. So one of the questions that was asked when you're on your table before you touch people, what are you tracking first? And that's even before sometimes even when they walk in the door, I'm just looking at their posture. I am seeing how they're walking, what's happening there. And then as they well, I'll greet them and I'll talk to them and I'll say, hey, what's going on? And um, not only am I listening to what's going on, because you can just point to pain and uh, I've been doing this a while. You can kind of tell what's going on and where it is and whatnot. But at some point, you start to get a feel for the person. So I usually am like, all right, well, okay, let's see. And this is my standard. I'm like, let's see what your spine says. Let's see what your body says. Go ahead and lie down. And I try to get them comfortable. And I will. Um, One of the things that they taught me is how to approach people. You have to you don't just burst into their energy. You have to kind of um, ease your way into their field, and then because you're some of these people, you you have to make them comfortable to your touch, because that's what you're going to be doing. At least that's what I do. So when they're comfortable to your touch, and then you can kind of ease into their field, and you start doing your thing. You start doing your assessment. And in the method I use, I check. It's called. Well, I've created my own. Uh, and the method I use, I look for tension in the spine and in the rest of the body. And usually I'll start at the hips and see what's going on. If they're rotated or something, that kind of tells me what's happening. And if the hips are rotated, then I try to look for tension in the rib cage, and then where else it's going in the body. So once I got a pretty good idea, then I start doing my thing, and is unwinding them. Now let's see what else we got here. Um, in my own words, what does intuition mean in the context of your work? Okay. In your own words, what does intuition mean in the context of your work? Um, well, you get to a certain point where you have all this amassed knowledge, and um, if you are in the zone, and what I mean by that is you're not really thinking. You're kind of in a place where you're aware. Your 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 mind is aware, open, and you're open for input. It could be something that they said. And that's why I don't like small talk, because I have to, your whole focus is out here, and then it's people talk to you, and you have to start to focus on what they're saying, instead of having a big picture. So anyway, getting back to it, you kind of have to you kind of clear your mind, and the more you clear your mind, the more right on you are, when you work on somebody, because on a good day, I really don't know. If you ask me, what are you doing? I would have to be like, oh, yeah, what am I doing? Because you're not really, you're just kind of, your nervous system is just doing things, and you're fully aware. You're kind of like a vessel. You're kind of like, stuff is flowing, and you get an idea. Oh, I need to work on this. I need to work on that. So that's why, one of the things people say is like, hey, I go to the chiropractor and I get the same thing over and over and over. The flying seven, two neck cracks and put you on your side twice, and then a couple pops in the middle of your back, and that's it. And they say your adjustments are always different, and they're always different with other people. And yes, and a lot of times it's I know, I kind of know you know what I need to do, because I'm focused on you. So I guess that's what it would mean in a intuitive. That's what my definition would be of intuitive. So listen, I'm trying to teach this stuff, and it is very hard to teach it in like chart way, and in a very um, very like a left brain way, that's with charts and details and lists. I'm more of a flowy guy, just kind of let's see what we find, let's see what you feel, that kind of stuff. So it is, but I find that the more you can get into that mindset, and so when I teach this stuff, I have to do a lot of uh, kind of get you out of your head, basically. So the more meditation you do, the more breathing techniques that you do, the more stuff that gets you out of your head and kind of, let's let you connect with your innate intelligence, with your and universal intelligence, which is everything else. Um, so I try, a lot of those things, it may seem like, oh man, that's that's so uh, almost, you're trying to get us into a religion or something. No, I just want you to get to the point where your mind is not cluttered with daily stuff, that you're actually focused on what you need to be focused on, which is your client right in front of you, and not talking about the freaking weather or anything like that. Get focused on what you need to be doing. And a lot of times it's like, okay, let's get to business, and I don't need to do all this chit chat. Let's get going and focus on your person, and then things will uh, those things will come to you. So a lot of times people are like, oh, wow, that was different. I'm like, yeah, I know, I am different today. There's I'm clearer. I'm whatever it is, and depending on what kind of day you're having, that's the day. That's the kind of day you're. So that's the kind of day you're giving, really. So if you're going with a shitty attitude, then you're going to have shitty results. So that's why it's very important to work on your mindset, work on your mind, meditate, do all these things that may sound weird, because you're supposedly only doing a physical job, but in my opinion, to be good at it, you have to kind of um, be open to everything. And sometimes I'll just you'll sit and talk to somebody, and they're telling you basically about their day or what happened, and all of a sudden something they said jumps out at you, and be like, whoa, you almost it's almost like it was in a higher level, higher volume. It's like, oh, I know exactly what's going on. They'll tell you yes, and right before it happened, I got upset, and I was having a fight with somebody, and like, oh, okay, that's it. Which is that's what's going on. That's you have It's tied to something you're holding on to. Sometimes a repressed emotion causes you to kind of, and which eventually will cause a physical pain. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. So emotions are energy. So when you suppress something, you're blocking the energy. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to show up. Your body's like, hey, pay attention to this. And you're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Your body's like, hey, pay attention to this. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I know you know how to pay attention to pain, so here you go. And then people are like, oh, I don't know why it hurts. That's why it hurts. So you're not you're suppressing your emotions. You're not feeling what you need to be feeling. And a lot of times, pain is the same way. Pain, um, that's you know, when you ever heard the saying that when some whatever you resist persists, basically, and I feel the same way with pain. If you kind of just let go, like one time I was getting a massage, and it's like, man, I was trying real hard to kind of help the massage therapist out, and right when they were going in, you kind of do a mind thing and you kind of like let go. But this guy was going too fast and too deep, and it was pretty horrible, and I couldn't go fast enough. So I was like, okay, well, I can't keep up with him. So it's like, you know what? I have to go to like a higher level and just yield to everything. Like stop fighting everything. And when you did that, when I did that, he was able to like, oh, everything relaxed, and I didn't hurt, it didn't hurt anymore, which is which is the most important thing. It stopped hurting because you let go. Um, so in a way, I that might be a metaphor for life. Just kind of, if you trust your creator, then you should trust the plan and just ride the wave. So, anyways, I am getting, um, I'm digressing. I'm gonna edit all this stuff out. Uh, how do you reconcile? Okay, how do you reconcile your intuitive self sense with your clinical responsibilities? Screening for red flag safety and when not to adjust. All right. Like I said, I've been doing this a while. It's everything is pretty straightforward. Here's the thing. I don't take x-rays in my office. So I get a lot of flack from chiropractors that say, well, how do you know what's going on? How do you know there's not, technically, I guess they are right. You don't, I know what's going on. I've been doing this a long time. I can tell you, I could probably do a better job than looking at a 2D piece of plastic, than trying to figure out this is what's going on. Well, a lot of times you're taking an X-ray and this person is in pain, and so if something hurts, you're going to lean forward, and then you take an X-ray of it, and you're like, okay, hey, your spine is crooked. Well, the position, the patient was in pain, so your readings aren't really reliable. Anyways, again, um, few times it's happened that I try to adjust an area that, for whatever reason, doesn't feel right, and you're like, well, okay, well, let's try it this way. Like, oh, that doesn't feel right either. How about this way? Wow. And nothing quite feels right. That's like you're tuning in, and I've said, I don't know what's going on, but I can't adjust this. Why don't you go have an image look and have them see what's going on? And several occasions it's come back that it was something, and it was a good thing that I didn't put force in the area. Now, it doesn't mean you couldn't adjust a different way, but in this case, I was going to use force, and it was no. But sometimes a lighter touch adjustment would have been fine. But in this case, it's like, okay, you feel like, yeah, I felt like I didn't remember how to adjust when I was in those areas. I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't do it. And I do it in a different position. I'm like, I can't do this one either. You were like, well, I don't know how to do this. So over and over and over again, I'm okay. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Let's go look at it. Let's get you some imaging. All right. As you, Okay, that's a good question. When you first make okay, this is a great question. When you first make contact, what specific signs tell you the nervous system is in stress mode versus the system is settling and open to change? So a lot of times, well, most of the times when I work on somebody, uh, rare times when somebody comes in and lays down, are they ready to go? Most of the times you have to prime them, and that's what I just with a couple touches, little stretches, they get to the point where it's like, okay, now we can start working, and now the body's ready to accept whatever I'm gonna I'm gonna put in, I'm gonna introduce. So yeah, it's if you sit around waiting for it to happen naturally, it's very rare. So you kind of have there's things you have to do to get the body to prime the body to accept what accept the healing, accept the energy, accept the adjustment, whatever you're going to do. Um, you have to prime the body for that. Look at another question. Um, okay, what do you feel for in fascia and muscle tone? Um, At this point, it's kind of hard. People ask me, "Well, what are you feeling?" It's like, "Well, I'm everything. I'm not just feeling the bone. I'm feeling the tension, the pulling, the twisting, the actual bone, the everything, soft tissue, everything." And but you kind of have to if you zoom in on just one thing, then you're kind of missing the big picture. You kind of have to back away and look at like the entire body, and then figure out what's going on. Um, Really, that's it. All right, okay. Listen to this one. Are there particular changes, breath, micro movements, eye shifts, facial changes that signal you found the right place to work? How do you read those? Yes and yes. All of the above. You have to observe. Again, if you're observing, sometimes um, I'll see little twitches. I'll see little stretches. I'll see the one of the main things I do is like I'll see what happens with the breath. If you see the breath opening up, then it's like, okay, that's good. If you see the breath shutting down, it's like you screwed up somewhere. You got to kind of have to go back and see. But um, with what I do, um, the goal is to unwind the spine and not just spine, unwind the body with the least amount of force possible in the most amount of tension. So you're looking you kind of look for the most amount of tension, and then you try to put the least amount of force that's going to cause that to release. So when I'm having a good day, it's fun. This is a game. It's let's find the least amount of force for the most amount of tension and twisting. So and it's like, okay, well, that wasn't enough. And then you realize, okay, maybe I needed to go to a different place. And it's a game, and you play around with it. And that's when honestly, that's when I have the most fun at work, when I'm just kind of freestyling, I call it. Let's see what another one. Deciding when to work first. Like again, this is a little bit redundant. No, won't go. We'll skip all those because I just covered that. Deciding how much and what kind of input, same thing. Um, Well, when you're working on somebody, and sometimes, again, if you're in that mode, intuition, sometimes you'll get like, okay, this person, we need to address an emotional issue, something's going on, and then I have a little system that I use to kind of pinpoint the emotion. I have a chart, and if I'll send you the chart. That's if you I'll put a link. I will put. All right, let's start over. All right, doing emotions sometimes when you're working, when you're in the flow and you're working, sometimes you'll get again a random like, oh, we need to work on some emotions with this person. And the way I do this, I kind of developed a little system. I have a chart that I use, and I use the chart to help me figure out what emotion we need to focus on, and then we try to clear it. Sometimes even just kind of bringing it up is enough. Um, Sometimes a person's not even aware of what's going on, and you just as you keep going, then they're like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. But they don't have to even be aware, because most of these things are subconscious, so we don't need to even they don't even need to have a recollection of it. Anyway, when you do this, when you do the use the chart, and if you want, I'll have the a link to where you can download this chart, and I'll show you how to use it also. So, but you use this chart to find out what the emotions are, and then you can clear it using a whole bunch of methods. You can use tapping. You can use what I do, protocol, which is using adjusting right here. But uh, you can use the Ho'oponopono prayer. You can use um, there's a lot of methods, but once you do that, you try to clear the energy, and then you can move on. And a lot of times that's is pretty powerful, especially when somebody's unaware of these things. It's like you clear that, and you're like, oh my God, the patient's like, oh my God, I can't believe the difference. You know, my migraine's gone, or my lower back doesn't hurt. You didn't even work on that. Um, so that kind of stuff is pretty powerful. But again, it doesn't, if you're in tune with the person, that's when it will come up. Um, I've learned some, chiropractic techniques that just kind of, all right, we go, it's like a cookie cutter. You just kind of, we start here, boom, 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 and work your way down. But again, I don't work that way. I'm more of a, let's what we feel. Let's see what do you feel? Ah, okay, that's where we need to work. My brain doesn't do well with flowcharts. Uh, bah. So I guess that's it, right? How do you make intuition understandable for patients? Well, I used to worry a lot about what people were going to think uh, about what I was doing, because I was doing stuff that's very different, and and I that would prevent me from doing it. So now I just do what I do, and sometimes I get that people don't come back. It's like they get scared or whatever it is. Um, but more than you'd be surprised at how open people are about just weird stuff. Um, you say, hey, listen, you've had a disappointment lately. Like the other day, I was talking to somebody who's like, wow, I said, listen, you feel this? Do you feel all this resistance in your belly there? And they're like, yeah, okay. I was like, well, that has to do with grief. So have you had any grief lately? It's like my whole life. It's like, oh shit, this guy's, you know. And when we clear, I mean, we didn't get to clear the whole thing, but when we cleared, it was very, very significant. Uh, I think he had a good day that day. So. So this stuff is very interesting, and I'm excited to be able to teach some of this stuff because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and so I've learned a lot along the way, and I don't think it would be it would be a shame if when I kick the bucket, this everybody all that knowledge is just gone. So that's my goal. I want to teach people this. So um, follow me, subscribe, follow me, and whatever they say on these the channels is like and follow and all that. So yeah, do that. Visit my website, theintuitivechiropractor.com. Read my articles. I have a bunch of articles on Substack. I have this thing wherever it's going to appear, and I probably have follow me on X and Facebook and TikToks. I have a lot of TikTok videos that actually end up being a lot of baby adjusting videos that kind of got viral and got popular. But yeah, I'm on social media. I am accessible. You can you can text me. You can usually contact me directly. Just don't call my phone. I hate that. So, anyways, like and follow. See you soon.